and welcome to the Tool Belt, a podcast designed to equip you with the tools you need to improve maintenance and reliability at your facility. I'm your host, Plant Services Own Alexis Gajewski, and in this podcast, we'll focus on new ways to manage, maintain, and automate your facility through in-depth interviews with a variety of subject matter experts and industry insiders. In today's episode, Thomas Wilk sits down with Mara Hitner, Director of Business Development for MatterHackers. Mara's mission is to empower, enable, and equip everyone to create our future by turning the ideas they have into the things they use via desktop 3D printers, CNC machines, and laser cutters. Before we begin, I have a few quick announcements. Are you taking advantage of your unplanned downtime? Step up your skill set by watching the Plant Services collection of on-demand webinars. Our webinar library offers more than 150 on-demand webinars featuring top industry pros. Catch up on industry trends and best practices in the break room, at home, or on your commute. Finally, we recently launched the Plant Services Downloadables Library, which contains the latest market research, reports, and white papers you need to decrease downtime and improve metrics at your facility. Organized by type and topic, the library offers insight and advice from experts throughout the industry and across verticals. Without further ado, here's today's discussion.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Plant Services, the Tool Belt podcast. Today we've got an extra special speaker. It's Mara Hitner, and she's the Director of Business Development for MatterHackers, an Orange County-based company founded in 2012. And they supply 3D printing materials, tools, and printer control software to the market. Mara, thank you so much for being with us today.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, and we got connected through a mutual friend who was showcasing some of the work that MatterHackers was doing in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially the Maker Response Hub. Maybe we can start a conversation with you talking a little about the Maker Response Hub itself, sort of what it is and how it emerged from this current moment.
Sure. When we started Maker Response Hub, it's been about, a big 5 weeks now into our endeavor. And it was really in response to our community. So as you said, MatterHackers were the largest 3D printing retailer. And we started seeing in the community that there was a few 3D printed designs for people that wanted to help with this terrible situation that we're in with COVID-19 and with the shortage of personal protective equipment in the hospitals. And we started seeing some of the designs that people were coming up with that were 3D printable on desktop 3D printers. And I actually, our customers come from different places. Some of our customers actually are hospitals. They normally use 3D printers to print pre-surgical models, for example, to sort of practice the surgery before they actually do it. So I have some contacts already at hospitals, and I was talking to one of them, and they had this file for a door pull that they had designed, and so that, it was a no-contact kind of door handle. And she's like, yeah, I'm trying to print as many of these things as I can, but I just can't print them fast enough. And I'm like, oh, well, you're in Pennsylvania. I know a makerspace in Pennsylvania that's got tons of printers. Why don't I, hook you guys up, and they can print for you? And that's kind of how this all started. So, being MatterHackers, we know where all the 3D printers are. So we started an online hub where people can sign up. Either I have 3D printers and I want to use them to help, or I'm a medical facility and I need 3D printed things. And it's just kind of blown up from there. Today we have over 4,700 volunteers who have raised their hands and said that they want to use their 3D printers. 3D printers right now are idle. Schools that have 3D printers are closed. A lot of businesses, unfortunately, are non-essential, so they've had to shut down. And they've got walls of 3D printers, and they want to use them to help. So it's almost 15,000 3D printers, I think, or 14,000 3D printers that have been signed up on our hub to help. And they've all just been printing, they've been printing mostly face shields, the visors for the face shields, but also some of these mask extenders that we're starting to see designs for, and it's just been remarkable. We've never seen anything like it.
And you sent a press release about this effort on April 5th, and even since then, that's 4,000 more 3D printers that have been added to the list. That's tremendous. That is just tremendous.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of like, I mean, at this point, we've donated over 15. We just sent our 15,000th 3D printed visor, 3D printed face shield to hospitals, and we only ship to hospitals that have requested, I want this amount, this number of this particular model in this material, and we agree to disinfect it when it shows up, because these are all, just volunteers. But we've shipped over 15,000 pieces to 53 different facilities across the country, and it's like 3D printers, like all of us with these 3D printers, businesses, schools, individuals, small businesses. We've been here for a few years and just kind of almost waiting for someone to call us into action and really give us a purpose. And as soon as the community saw this opportunity to help and started making these designs that were very easily printable in inexpensive material with inexpensive machines, we're talking about the sub $5,000-$6,000 machines. Some of them are under $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So what these 3D printers might lack in speed individually, we make up for in sheer numbers and accessibility. So we really found something that we were able to do, this sort of distributed, localized, on-demand 3D printing, and it was an amazing proof of concept of something that we've been saying we could do for years, but we never really had a chance to prove it, and I wish it were under better circumstances. But the fact that we could all band together as a community in an emergency is just it's been incredible to watch.
Well, and when we spoke a little bit last Friday, you mentioned this sort of specific historical moment again, that you were keeping pretty long hours, and part of that was because at this moment there's an urgency, and at some point that immediate moment is going to let up, but for now there's a need and a demand for it.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is this, we all know that the 3D printed PPE is a stopgap. It's almost like a mass production of prototypes. We're already starting to see some of these designs being injection molded and being made, thousands and thousands a day, which is what is needed, and that's what should happen until, of course, the regular PPE gets back into circulation. But again, just kind of looking at what we've been able to accomplish, because it's not just MatterHackers. We've shipped 15,000 pieces, but there are organizations, grassroots organizations across the country and around the world that are just shipping thousands and thousands of these, all by volunteers, all by donation only, people using their own time, their own money, their own materials to pitch in. And it's just really shown what we can do quickly in an emergency. And to be honest, we all of course we all know that this is that the need for 3D printed stuff for this particular application will end, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Right.
But it's the hub, for example, I think is going to be really useful moving forward for the next, whether it's the next emergency, being able to respond quickly to needs like a hurricane or, fires, something like what happened in Puerto Rico or Haiti, where, maybe somebody designs a little bracket to help fix the solar panels or something to that effect. And until we can go and get them injection molded, maybe this group can, do a couple thousand, a couple of 100,000 of these little pieces and really make a difference. And kind of help with that design process and help to get solutions moving until we've kind of figured out a solution and are able to mass produce them.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because one of the things that we've looked at in plant services recently is the importance of a response plan on the part of our readers, who are primarily maintenance and reliability professionals. Part of their job is to help guide the sourcing of parts and equipment, of course, help manage inventory. And more and more when you see things like, say, the COVID-19 pandemic disrupting the supply chain, and you see things such as what happened last September, where you had a drone bomb a Saudi Aramco facility. The response plan is crucial in mitigating risk for that company. And as you say, I mean, there's going to be a time when operations can return back to normal, but in the meantime, organizations like this, like the Maker Response Hub, are going to be something that can fill that gap, fill that need, and help drive even quicker recovery.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we can also potentially start to see how it can be used on a small scale. One of the things that I think is absolutely, I mean, all of it is incredible, but, some of our customers that are businesses that have, 10, 50, 100 3D printers that they use for their regular business. For example, Gantry in the San Francisco area, they make 3D printed lamps, and that's their normal thing, is that they have 100 printers going making these lamps. Well, when this tragedy hit, they had to shut down. They're not an essential business, but
right.
They were able to completely retool. I mean, I say retool. There's actually no tooling, of course, in 3D printing, which is why we can pivot so quickly. But they were able to pivot their production literally in days to be able to print hundreds of these face shield parts every day,
yes.
And then work with MatterHackers to ship those to places that need it. We've seen that with architecture firms in New York. We've seen that with Etsy shops that have 20 printers, low cost, a couple of $100 per printer, and they're able to pivot their production so quickly. And so when you think about a response plan, even within a company or on a shop floor or in a plant, if there's an emergency within the company and they have these 3D printers in-house, I know a lot of companies are still outsourcing their printing, and sometimes that's absolutely appropriate. But if they do have those 3D printers in-house, they can pivot their production in hours to be able to respond to an emergency, whether that's internal or national or somewhere else in the world.
Well, let's imagine it was January of this year, or let's look forward to like August, September. Talk about MatterHackers itself. You tell us more about the company and how you got involved, or how they found you.
Yeah, it feels like I have to remember back of what we used to do. This has been such a 24/7 thing for the past few weeks. Like you said, I mean, the whole community has just been, running literally 24/7 because that's the schedule that these people in the hospitals are working. So if they're working, I'm working. But, under normal run of things in peacetime, MatterHackers.com is where you can go to see what's new with desktop 3D printers and materials. Businesses and schools and major global corporations, they like to work with us because we are completely agnostic. So we sell over 70 different types of 3D printers, brands, and over 2,000 different kinds of materials. And that's everything from your standard, PLA or ABS to composites like nylon with carbon fiber, nylon with Kevlar. We even have a stainless steel BASF stainless steel product that you can actually print models in stainless steel from your desktop 3D printer for couple of $1,000 printer. So businesses like working with us because we can kind of help. If you're new to 3D printing or if you want to expand your fleet, people come to us and they're like, yeah, well, here's what I want to do, but I don't know which printer or which material is going to be right for me. MatterHackers is the perfect place to go because we sell so many different brands and we're completely agnostic. So we help to guide people through getting their printer and making sure they have the right materials and the right machines. And then we have free phone and email support for everything that we sell. We offer all sorts of discounts for schools and nonprofits. Very, very active in workforce development and training. Mm-hmm. So we're really just, our whole motto is to enable anyone to make anything. And between the 3D printers that we carry, then we also have some desktop laser cutters, laser engravers, vacuum formers, and CNC machines. whatever it is that you need to make, we are here to help you do that.
You know, we've got a lot of engineers who will be listening to this podcast and a lot of makers, often both. When you joined the MatterHackers, was the 3D printing sector that you felt drawn to, or did they reach out and find you somehow? What is it about this that? Yeah.
Yeah. So my origin story is actually I personally come from none of this. Like, I sing in rock bands, and I used to work in advertising. But like many, in 2014, I started seeing stories about 3D printers, and I just got fascinated. I wish I had an engineering background. I wish I had I wish I had a degree in mechanical engineering, but I don't. I was really drawn to the creative aspect of it. I just had never really thought about the fact that any product that I have in my home or my office, like, it started as a prototype and had to go through iterations. And then the fact that I thought, well, here's a machine that I could literally have in my house and I could make my own things. Like, what even, like, my brain exploded. And I just, went down the rabbit hole and started going to trade shows to learn what it was all about. And I met MatterHackers and convinced them to give me a job, because I'm in sales, and that's what I do. Is I see where the opportunities are and try to see how I can help. And it's been amazing. I just had my 5-year anniversary at MatterHackers and with 3D printing, and it's grown so much. MatterHackers has grown so much. I was employee number 16 at that stage, and we're right around the 50 mark right now.
Sure.
Based in Orange County, but we also have 2 warehouses, one in Orange County, one in Pennsylvania, so we can get your 2-day free shipping anywhere in the country.
Okay.
And I just continue to be blown away by the applications of 3D printing. Everything from kindergarten classrooms to mass production, of these 3D printed lamps, for example. It's just fascinating.
It is. We did our first cover story on 3D printing around the same time you joined MatterHackers. I believe it was February 2015. And at that time, the more mature sector in 3D printing was the metal sector, because aerospace clearly had an idea what they wanted to do with it. It was the carbon polymer side that was still people were trying to figure out what the killer app would be. And I'm just struck by how this moment that we're living through right now, if people weren't persuaded of the versatility and immediacy of 3D printing to solve problems, this moment's going to put those questions to rest. This is what 3D printing does best.
That's exactly it. And I agree with you. Like, still to this day, the most fascinating things are coming from, the metals and, the more industrial machines. But I think what's really amazing in the past 5 years is how far these desktop 3D printers have come. With they're no longer just little toys for the garage that make little plastic things. The fact that you really can make functional, not just functional prototypes, but actual end-use parts in materials that are so usable. I mean, you've got major chemical companies like BASF and Dow and DuPont that are making 3D printing filaments for the same, the same polymers that they previously were only available in injection molding. And so you've got such a wide, this is like, back 6 weeks ago, the usual conversation that I would have with people is like, yes, you can print nylon and carbon fiber on a $2,500 3D printer, and yes, you can print stainless steel that can then be sent to debinding and sintering and come back as a full metal part on your $1,500 3D printer. Flexible materials, there's a reason why we have over 2,000 SKUs of material. And MatterHackers actually works directly with chemical companies to develop new materials for FDM, and we also have some inexpensive SLA 3D printers, the resin 3D printers. We work with the chemical companies to develop materials in reaction to what we're hearing, feedback that we get from our customers. And our customers are, aerospace, automotive, engineers in, pretty much every, any industry where they're making a thing. But then we also are working with visual effects and props and costumes and architecture. I mean, it's really literally almost every industry out there is using 3D printing for something, or at least using 3D design for something. And if you're going to have a 3D design, you probably want to, make it and be able to look at it and touch it, get feedback on it.
Right. Well, and you've worked with some pretty heavy-hitting customers like this, and I won't ask you to name names, but I'm curious to know, since we're still in this historical moment, we're 6 weeks in, what else have you heard about the way these manufacturers are responding to the pandemic? I mean, one story I've heard is that there has been a priority placed on safety in the sense that they're re-engineering the production lines to make sure there's 6-foot distance between operators. That was their first action item. Sometimes they'll put plastic shields in between operator stations. Are you hearing stories about how these larger, mid-sized small manufacturers are responding to the situation?
I haven't heard that much, but that makes sense. I mean, I know, for example, with our warehouse, everybody's wearing gloves, everybody's wearing a mask, everybody's, now we have lots of face shields, so you can wear the face shield, keeping social distancing, cleaning. We've got, hand sanitizers all over the warehouses. So it's just amazing the kinds of things that we have to think about now that we never thought we would think about. And I think it will probably change the way that manufacturing is done from now on, and the way that offices are set up, and hopefully the way that people think about their own health and how their health affects the health of people around them. I just remember thinking, like, whenever it's the beginning of cold season, for example, it usually happens like twice a year. And around January and around August, like one person comes in with a cold, and you're just like, oh, now everybody's going to get a cold, and everybody gets a cold, and it's just kind of accepted.
Right.
Why is that accepted? Why is that okay?
Right.
It interrupts productivity. It people bring that back to their families. What can we do now that we've been forced to explore these new or different ways of doing business, whether that's, working from home, telecommuting, video conferencing, not traveling as much. It's interesting to start to speculate what this is all going to look like and how much more productive we could be when using these tools, so that we are literally just not getting each other sick all the time, even just that basic thing.
Right. It's funny, the one KPI that I'm pretty sure all of our listeners would know about their plans is the cost of a minute of downtime. And like you're saying, it's going to get to the point, I believe, where organizations will take a look at the health aspect of downtime, and, as you say, make sure that something like a transmittable disease or a virus gets factored into the bottom line and helps drive reliability going forward. You can't afford to be taken out like this again.
Yep. Yeah, I think everything's going to look differently, and I do hope that again, I wish all of this were under better circumstances, but I do hope that people are seeing 3D printing and additive manufacturing in the news a lot more, and that they start to understand the difference between, for example, the test swabs that are being 3D printed, and how that process and that level of materials and machines, how they differ than the machines that are, doing the plastics that you may have at home, or that, your kids may have at the robotics class. And no, those are not appropriate for, making surgical masks that are going to be approved by the FDA for actual surgeries. And no, those are not appropriate for the swabs, but they're super appropriate for something like the visor for a face shield, or these mask extenders that they're using now to protect your ears for people that have to wear these N95 masks, all day, every day. So I'm hoping that kind of starts to trickle out to the general population, and that there's more of an understanding of not only did 3D printing not disappear in 2014 like a lot of people think that it did when the fad was over, that we were all going to have one in our kitchen.
Right.
That not only are they still around, but that they've been very useful in a lot of different applications, and that they could be useful for your hobby or for your business or for something that your kids are passionate about, and that people start to really understand the capabilities and the limitations.
Well, and we live in an area, too, where the local library's got a bank of 3D printers, and my kids are all under 10 years old, and now they take for granted that you go to a library, you find books and PCs and tablets and 3D printers. That's the new normal going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that when you think about the workforce training bit, and how now, okay, so we're doing this PPE thing. It's basically, it may not be the most efficient at manufacturing, but it's domestic manufacturing. And with the workforce development and how we can start to bring creativity and bring manufacturing back to America, or of course your listeners know that it's already here. It's a matter of expanding it. And understanding where these desktop 3D printers fit in that kind of in that whole realm. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, and the fact that you can go to your local library and get trained, whether you're a young person or somebody that maybe wants to start a new career, or you're a veteran, or just a creative person that is looking for something else, for another outlet for your creativity. Libraries and training centers, they have 3D printers, they have sewing machines, they have CNC machines, they have recording booths to do your podcast. People don't realize how much technology and how much creativity is really right at their fingertips.
So true. Absolutely so true. Well, let me direct our listeners once again to your website, MatterHackers.com. And if you want to know about the Maker Response Hub, there's a whole page set up that's designed to get people to that area. It's MatterHackers.com/COVID-19. So, Mara, thank you so much for spending so much time with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, Tom.
All right. And thanks for listening to The Tool Belt. We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.